Hey everybody, Dave Brons here, and today we're doing another interview with somebody who has taken my Guitar Adventurers year-long program, and this is Paul Dobson. So what we're going to do today is we're going to chat a little bit to Paul, hear about his journey, a little bit, listen to some of the music he's made and put out. He's put out, I think, is it one album and another one on the way?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, there's a bit of a promotional EP in between that I'll make sure the code's out there for anybody to download that can't sleep nights. So we did a short EP based on some crazy characters in Whitby. So that'd be available for a free download.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, we'll get to all that in a little while. The main thing is just it's a good opportunity for me to share Paul's music with you, and obviously for me it's a huge source of joy and pride that quite a few people who have taken the course have gone on to put albums out, and I think Paul will agree with me that the main thing I want you guys to hear from this is that don't think it's impossible to create your own music and put it out there as an album. There are many ways you can do that, and you don't have to resort to cheating by using AI, right? So we can use our own kind of experience, and then the idea of the course was giving people the tools to turn their ideas into completed art. So anyway, so that's about me. Let's hear a little bit about Paul. So Paul, tell us where were you sort of at before you joined the Guitar Adventurers program? How would you describe your playing and what you were doing?
Yeah, well, I suppose in history, way back in my teens and early 20s, I was quite involved in music, and as things are always, everybody's got a story like this, difficult to make kind of ends meet and make a living. So I ended up with a career in local government, and I always had an intention, once I managed to escape from that career towards the end, to try and get back involved in music. So I suppose to some extent, my first target was trying to get back to being able to play guitar as I could, perhaps as a teenager. Whether that memory was enhanced in terms of my capabilities after all those years is another matter. So I put myself in what I described as boot camp for a while, and the timing of your course was fantastic for me to be able to get back not just into guitar playing, but more importantly into composition. So that was really the springboard, and I think we managed to hang on beyond a year, if I recall, in terms of developing your first annual course. We benefited from that on the basis that you trialled a few things with us, which was tremendous, and as a result, it's certainly got me in a place where not only am I more confident to put music out, I think the quality of the music that's coming out reflects that kind of learning journey I was on with Guitar Adventurers.
Yeah, awesome. And and you haven't just kind of done a little bit of composition. You've put out this amazing album with a fully fledged story. It's one for the prog fans for sure. So it's got like a full set of story behind it, a full set of kind of imagery. So maybe we should jump in and just show everybody, give people a flavour of what you've done. So I've got a video to play here for you guys. We're not going to play the whole thing because, partly because of time and because being a prog epic, we might be here till tomorrow. But also so that you guys have the incentive to go and check out the music directly. So if you just bear with me a second, I'm going to load up the first video and we'll have a quick listen.
If there occurs an emergency at night, it may take some time to make a light to light a lamp. But an ingenious man devised the system of impregnating little sticks of pine wood with sulfur and storing them ready for use. The slightest touch of fire and they burst into flame. This marvelous thing was formerly called a light-bringing slave, but afterwards, when it became an article of commerce, its name was changed to Fire Inch Stick.
screen share. All right, cool. So amazing imagery there as well. So what were you playing on there? Was that you on the keyboard? There's a synth line at the start, and
Yeah,
then there's the
and
guitar playing, and we
the
had
bass, the bass playing. Yeah, on the first album, we did have an additional lead guitarist. I think I spoke to you about, that although guitar's my first instrument, I played the acoustic guitar and the bass guitar and the keyboards on the album. But we had some support on some of the lead guitar lines, which isn't the case on the new album that we'll get onto. I'm playing lead guitar on the all of the lead guitar on the new album rather than just some of it. So yeah, it was a bit of a journey, and as you say, based on fact and fiction of the character John Walker, who, believe it or not, this year it's 200 years since his invention of the friction match. When I was in work, my last period of work was in Stockton-on-Tees, and this is one of the kind of famous characters from the past that was a pharmacist on the high street and is reflected in the museum as well. And I always had a thought that there was a concept album in there somewhere. We did do some work in 2012. There was a short story commissioned, which was the initial backbone to the underlying kind of reland fantasy element of John Walker's life that the album's based on. And we also commissioned a ballet in 2015, a street ballet, which was again based on his invention. So I never managed to encourage anybody to do a concept album. So when I managed to escape, that was a thing we set out.
amazing. So how did you find that what was the process like then, and how did the program help you kind of pull together these ideas? Because I know you've said to me before, one of the hardest things is like turning your ideas, and you can have loads of good ideas, but it's really hard to turn those little sparks of creativity, of little musical things you enjoy. It's hard to draw them out into full compositions. So how did you go about that, and was the program helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I remember a key moment very early on, and another kind of just by observation, the program so quickly, I was surprised by it, so quickly got us into kind of producing practical outcomes, surprisingly so, from my observation. So it was kind of introducing, for some people it was revisiting theory, for many of us it was revisiting but actually understanding some of it for the first time. But stepping from that, rather than being very dry, stepping from that immediately into a practical application of it, which really helped embed. And I think one of the key messages you managed to get over to me early on was about almost understanding what was required for a particular track, and not over developing. So you're in a position where you might have 3 or 4 good ideas, and your natural instinct is you're working on a track, so you try to get those 3 or 4 good ideas into one track. Probably that's how prog was born. But no, joking aside, the message that you got through to me really early on was about how you take that good idea and you have a start, a middle, and a finish. And I think one of the things I've spent years and years doing is writing introductions or writing choruses or having an idea for a song that maybe is never turns into a song. And I think the course really early on gave me that kind of framework of being able to take that idea and develop it so that if it's good enough in itself, that ends up being the basis of the song. So those 3 or 4 ideas sometimes made 2 or 3 songs rather than one. And I think that was a learning exercise for me early on. The other thing that I stumbled into really was that I found my writing style is such that if we have got an underpinning story, and that story has a start and an end, and develop how many tracks. The new album's got about 14 tracks and about 80 minutes long. But that gave me the framework to be able to understand, where the story starts and where it ends, and therefore what we're actually writing to. And that again helped on top of all the detailed work that came from the course. I was telling you a tale before we started recording. Just about yesterday, I was working on track 13, which is a good place to be, when there's 14 tracks on the new album. Yesterday, and I noticed what I read as two major chords, a semitone apart. It immediately triggered something in the kind of theory area that we've been working on, which is quite exciting on the course, of a Phrygian dominant. And I'm thinking, cracking, that'll give me, as well as thinking through what the melodies are likely to be. My old way of doing it would have been stick the track on, wiggle my fingers a bit, and that that would have been the solo. The way that we do it, come through your course, is to an application of the theory, thinking through the melody. So, singing in a particularly rough voice against a track to actually develop some real melodies, and then technically trying to apply that to a guitar solo. So, as relevant as yesterday, and you used to pull my leg about because I went old school with all the materials and things that yes, and there's 4 of those. Of all the materials that are obviously online, but I actually felt, for traveling and knocking around, there was some comfort in printing it all off after each lesson. So I kind of got stuck into that of Phrygian dominant things, only to realize that the chord was actually a major chord and a minor chord, a semitone apart. But again, the theory application of that, of thinking about what Phrygian would actually play over the both of those in terms of the relationship of those two chords, isn't somewhere I would have come to that kind of solo or thinking about that solo or that melody line before the course. So it's a great resource to have. I'm not saying it's all in my head, and I'd love to do it all again, to be fair, and concentrate on guitar technique, where I tended to concentrate on composition. But it was a fantastic journey, and one that's been massively influential. And a lot of the EP came off the back of some of the composition work that we actually did on the course. And there's about 5 tracks directly related to some of the exercises we did on the course that are on the new album. So it's a fantastic experience.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. It makes me very proud that you printed them all out and turned them into books. That's amazing to see. I think the goal for me was always not to make copies of me, but to give people like the knowledge to ask the right questions. So if they want to make something that sounds magical and ethereal, what scale and what chords do I use for that? If they get a set of chords that are given to them, what are my options to make a really cool, interesting solo, and how can I expand this all over the guitar neck? So it's just kind of trying to meet different needs in different places. So if you're really into composition, there's plenty for that, and recording. If you just want to up your guitar chops, there's plenty for that. So it pleases me greatly that you got so much out of it, and it's turned into actual music, which is amazing. So with that, let's seek into playing another track from your album. So this is called Bright Light. amazing. That's a really kind of Pink Floyd vibe there, with a bit of a Dave Gilmour kind of clean lead at the start.
It's got that kind of feel, hasn't it? It kind of drifts over you. I think that would be the phrase. And as you say, the piano is characteristic of some of those early Floyd tracks. Just a kind of rocking piano in the background there. Whilst that was on, actually, my mind jumped to something you said just before you played that video, and I was laughing at myself because obviously the more the course went on and the new material that I was writing and working on, both on my own and with the lads, we went through a phase, and it's the title track actually on the new album. Not that we'll be playing that one, but where I used chromatic medium in the instrumental, which I wouldn't have dreamt of kind of applying. So there's this section that I gave it kind of big licks with the chaps about, this will work really well and whatever else, and the keyboard parts seem to fall into place really well, and I've got this 20-bar guitar solo which I spend every time I look at it asking myself, why on earth did I apply chromatic medium? This and the particular cadences that I've used during that section, but that's a side issue, and it's probably one of those private jokes between me and you, on the basis that it's not the easiest thing to do unless I just use arpeggios, but I'll get there. But that one at the moment, track one's about finished. Other than this, I should just send it to you and get you to sort it out for us.
Well, that wouldn't be fun, would it? So for those listening, chromatic mediums, it's like a tool that composers use a lot for film music, and to create really like chord changes that sort of really jump out and surprise you. And so, but consequently, they're quite tricky to solo over. So my music's full of chromatic mediums, and so on the course we spent quite a while unpacking how I would tackle soloing over really odd chord progressions.
You've got 9 fingers
in a more cinematic way.
Yeah, you've got 9 fingers on your left hand.
But yeah, although we interviewed Alan earlier this week, and he's got 2 fingers missing, and he's still managed. So you've got no excuse, Paul, to be honest.
True.
Oh, amazing. So how did you sort of come up with those ideas and put them together? Where did you start? Do you have sort of a method? Does the guitar part come first, keys, lyrics? What's your vibe for putting things together, and did you learn anything different through doing the program?
Yeah, it's really interesting, that, because I've spent some time exploring that during and certainly post course. My default method is sitting down at the piano, tinkering around with piano, and that. I think that's a lot to do with the period of time that I wasn't active. So in my early years, it would have probably been just via guitar. I would have not necessarily started the piano, but the years in between, not doing any kind of performance, keeping my hand in, as it were, but obviously had a bit of a full-on job. So the default position was piano, and it definitely matters in terms of what the outcome is now. There are tracks on the new album where I sat down with acoustic guitar, where I sat down with electric guitar, and where I sat down with piano as the kind of starting point. And I think it's helping almost the kind of mood of the track that I'm looking for, that particular starting position. I'd like to be far more active on, and I think this, to some extent, the EP is the first sign of me doing more, as I used to, aggressively around electric guitar and riffs and things like that. So this kind of, I think the next example is a bit of that, but I would like to spend time, and it's my intention to spend some time, with an electric guitar wound up, starting writing from that perspective as well, because I think that'll give us a different outcome again. But the default tends to be piano, then acoustic guitar. But there are some examples where I've tried to start from a kind of a riffing perspective on electric guitar.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there because it's the same for me. Even though I'm not a good piano player at all, I quite often start on the piano, or I start with a melody and then go from there. And that's why on the course I was really determined to teach how to play some keyboard as well. Like, so a lot of the early stage, if you remember, we demonstrate things on guitar and then on keyboard as well.
Yeah.
So that if you're a guitarist who wants to arrange strings or something more orchestral, it's pretty hard, although not
Yeah.
impossible, to use your guitar to
Yeah.
input that information into your software. Whereas with just really simple keyboard chords and a bit of understanding on how piano works, you don't have to be an amazing piano player, but just having a bit of understanding around the theory can really help lift kind of compositions that sound really amateur to sound really pro because of some of the library, the sample libraries now. Like, you can play like the BBC Symphony Orchestra and just play a chord in one hand, and it's got your strings and your clarinets and everything. And you're just like, that sounds amazing. So we covered that on the course as just as well as guitar. I think it's important.
The visibility helps, doesn't it? Of a keyboard, that kind of immediate visibility in terms of individual notes and whatever else, I think really helps. And even if you're not, a regular keyboard player, it's a simplicity of what you presented that I think would communicate. Within a matter of weeks, even if you're not a keyboard player, you quickly get to the point where that's understandable.
Yeah, that's the aim. And we also did a bit of drumming as well we covered the whole shebang, how to input drums, how to understand rhythm and how it works. So we did a lot of stuff. Brilliant. Okay, I think it's probably time for one more track. I don't know what time we're on. It might be time for our last track. I don't know. Let's have a look. So we've got Dreams and then Inside the Maelstrom. Which one do you think?
Dreams, I would say.
Hey, I remember you working on that one on the course.
Yeah.
It's such a good melody. Do, 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 do. I love it. It's very satisfying for me to hear the finished thing with like lyrics on and
it's even got a guitar solo at the end, and I even played it.
We missed the guitar solo.
Don't worry.
Well, guys, if you want to hear the guitar solo, you have to check out the actual thing.
Yeah.
So where can people get hold of your album then?
It's the website's www.gilgalad, all one word, .uk. So I don't know whether you can put that in your little.
I'll put it down here. It's appearing right now.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
By the magic of technology.
Yeah, that leads to the pre-sales open. We will get the new album out in May. It'll be delivered in May with a download available before, probably about 3 weeks before that, once it goes into kind of production. And the existing album is still on the website in its limited edition format. There's a few of those left, and I think I sent you a code that you might include if anybody wanted the EP, just to sample it. It's capital letters, which is EP. What is it? No, FEEP exclamation mark. If you put that code in at checkout,
I'll put the code here.
right, and that'll give you a free download.
Free download. Come on, guys. Can't say more than that. Oh, that's it. Well, definitely send me the info, Paul, when it's all ready to go, and I'll push it out to all the guys on my mailing list. Obviously, it's very Pink Floydy, proggy stuff, I presume. Still,
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of. So,
Yeah.
if you're a prog fan, you're definitely gonna enjoy that. Especially with, are you putting out a booklet with this one as well? Like are you going full?
Oh, we are. Yeah, it's all out there. You can't have a creative writer in the team, and with Nev, and obviously we're really fortunate in that the Kev Stevens, the drummer's daytime job is he's a graphic artist, so that that helps that helps a bit. He's a bit cool on that front, so he keeps us right. With all these fantastic graphics and scrolls and pulling the whole thing together.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's just so cool to see, Paul, what you've put together, and I really look forward to many more albums from you and your team. So
yeah, well, I think you'll see me popping up once you're launched, and I'm hoping that people pick up the opportunity. And the worst thing is for folks to sit there thinking I'm not good enough. That's not a response to the course. Everybody will get something at it, no matter what end of the scale. If I think about some of the folks that were on our year, there were recording artists I think Matt was into his 6th or 7th album, that got loads out of it. And plenty of other folks that were just coming to terms with developing confidence in getting back to playing guitar. If you said you just interviewed Alan, as you know, geographically he's not far away from us. From me, he obviously moved to keyboards when he had his accident with his fingertips that he lost, and has very much moved back into playing guitar again, which obviously is his first love, and has the confidence to produce his album with him fronting guitar, which is tremendous to see.
Yeah, it is, and he has like his own style as well, which is really nice. He didn't sort of turn into a Dave Brons clone. He got his own.
No, he writes some fantastic melodies, doesn't he?
Yeah, great player. Really, really. Well, it's inspiring to me to see how he's overcome the difficulties of trying to replay with half these. It's these two fingers, or is it the middle two? I can't remember. Basically, it's two. Yeah. Two fingers are quite a bit shorter, but he can do all the solo and everything. And we work together to work around that. But anyway, you'll have to watch the interview with Alan to find out more about that. We digress. All right, buddy. Paul, thanks for coming on, and
thanks so much, Dave. It's been a blast. Thanks.
Yeah, and I will put all the links up to get your stuff. Thanks so much.
Cheers.